Anandale resident remanded on larceny charge. Azad Muhammad, a 33-year-old construction worker from Anandale Sand Reef, East Coast Demerara, was arrested and charged today, March 26, with the offense of simple larceny, contrary to Section 164 of the Criminal Law, Offences, Act, Chapter 801. The offense involves items belonging to Sherwin Sancho, valued at 98,800 Guyanese dollars. Muhammad is accused of committing the act between Sunday, March 23, and Monday, March 24, 2025, at Lusignan, East Coast Demerara. At approximately 10:30 a.m. today, the accused appeared at the Vigilance Magistrates Court before His Worship Magistrate Sunil Scarce, where the charge was read to him. He pleaded not guilty and was remanded to prison. The matter has been adjourned to April 29, 2025, for statements. Break-and-enter charge against Mon Repos contractor dismissed. Saich Medre, a 41-year-old contractor from Agriculture Road, Mon Repos, East Coast Demerara, was arrested on March 23, 2025, and charged today, March 26, with the offense of break-and-enter and larceny at the business place of Andre Marcus in Ogle, ECD, on March 23. The accused appeared today at Sparendam Magistrates Court No. 1 before Magistrate Clive Nurse, where the charge was read to him. He pleaded not guilty. Following the victim's request for no further action, the matter was dismissed. No foul play suspected in death of woman found in hotel room. By news source Guyana, a post-mortem examination has been ordered to determine the cause of death for a woman found dead in a room at the Sunflower Hotel on South Road this morning. Authorities report that no foul play is suspected, as hotel staff noted that the woman had been feeling unwell for the past 2 days. The deceased has been identified as June Anna Gomez, believed to be in her late 30s. According to hotel staff, Gomez hailed from an interior location and would regularly stay at the hotel when visiting Georgetown. She checked in 2 days ago but complained of feeling unwell during her stay. Staff and fellow guests encouraged her to seek medical attention, but she declined. This morning, when staff went to check on her, there was no response from her room. They used a spare key to gain access and found her lifeless body on the bed. Police investigators arrived at the scene and reported that there were no signs of violence on the body. Colleen Cush, the hotel receptionist, told news source that she went to check on Gomez after arriving for her shift this morning. "I knew she was sick, so I thought I'd go check on Johanna. I knocked at the door, but there was no answer, so I looked for a spare key and opened the room," Cush explained. Despite multiple pleas from staff, Gomez had chosen to stay in her room rather than visit a hospital. She checked in on Monday at about 11:08. When she arrived, I noticed she looked unwell. I asked, "Johanna, why do you look so sick?" And she replied that she wasn't feeling well, Cush said. On Tuesday, Gomez requested soup due to her illness and remained in her room throughout the day. Another hotel employee shared that he last saw Gomez alive early Tuesday night when she asked for a soft drink but opted for coconut water instead. "She told me she wanted to go to the doctor but didn't have the strength to go and kept delaying. She mentioned that today she was supposed to go because she thought she would feel better," he said. The hotel has cooperated fully with police investigators, providing surveillance video footage from the hallway and hotel entrance. The recordings showed that no one entered or left Gomez's room overnight. Realtor and taxi driver charged for assaulting each other. Kaider News, a realtor and a taxi driver were granted bail on Tuesday for allegedly assaulting each other. The defendants, 36-year-old Parsram Singh of Lot 582 Good Hope, East Coast Demerara, and 31-year-old Gavin Bagwandan of Lot 41 Dennis Street, Sophia, Georgetown, appeared before Senior Magistrate Sunil Scarce at the Vigilance Magistrates Court. Singh was charged with using abusive language and assaulting Bagwandan on March 22, 2025, at Good Hope. Simultaneously, Bagwandan was charged with unlawfully wounding Singh on the same day at the same location. Singh sustained lacerations to his head and temple. Both men pleaded not guilty. Magistrate Scarce granted Bagwandan bail in the amount of $40,000 for the unlawful wounding charge, while Singh was granted $20,000 bail for the assault charge and self-bail for the abusive language charge. The defendants were instructed to maintain a distance of 500 feet from each other and not to communicate with one another. The matter was adjourned to April 7, 2025. Mentally challenged man remanded for murder of Dundee fisherman. Newsroom. Diveshwanan Lachman, a 24-year-old man from Dundee, Mahayakoni, has been remanded to prison after being charged with the murder of 30-year-old Fireman Singh, also from Dundee, Mahayakoni. Lachman appeared at the Mahayakoni Magistrates Court before Magistrate Alan Wilson on Wednesday. The court heard that on March 22, Lachman allegedly committed the brutal act of murder by delivering a fatal chop to Singh's neck. He did not enter a plea for the indictable charge, and his next court appearance is scheduled for April 30th. His attorney, Bernard De Silva, informed the court of Lachman's mental health history and raised concerns regarding his fitness to stand trial. De Silva noted that his client was receiving treatment at a private clinic and formally requested a psychiatric evaluation, which Magistrate Wilson approved. Witnesses reported that Singh was at the Dundee Canal Bridge on March 22 when Lachman approached him asking for a cigarette. In a sudden and violent act, Lachman attacked Singh with a chopper, delivering a lethal blow to the back of his neck. Despite being transported immediately to the Mahayakoni Public Hospital, Singh succumbed to his injuries. A post-mortem examination confirmed that he died from shock and hemorrhage resulting from the incised wound to his neck. Coldingen woman in court on assault charge. Cater News. A 36-year-old woman was granted bail on Tuesday after appearing at the Vigilance Magistrates Court on a charge of assault causing actual bodily harm. Astacia Cornett, of Coldingen squatting area, East Coast Demerara, appeared before Senior Magistrate Sunil Scarce. Cornett is accused of assaulting Bhamati Kaladin, also known as Sarah. The defendant pleaded not guilty to the charge. The incident occurred on March 18, 2025, in Coldingen. The court heard that Kaladin sustained several bruises to her body and head. Magistrate Scarce granted Cornett bail in the amount of $25,000, with the condition that she must not enter Kaladin's premises. Additionally, the magistrate placed both women under a keep the peace bond. Christmas Day stabbing. Woman sentenced to 14 years for manslaughter. Guyana Times. Shaliza Ellis, a 28-year-old woman, has been sentenced to 14 years in prison for the fatal stabbing of 31-year-old Latoya Haywood on Christmas morning in 2019. The sentence was handed down at the High Court in Georgetown by Justice Damone Young on Monday, concluding a case that garnered significant public attention. The deadly altercation occurred during a family party at the intersection of Leopold and Breda Streets, Georgetown, where Haywood was socializing with relatives. Ellis, who was also present at the gathering, reportedly became enraged when Haywood spoke to her boyfriend, Alfie Garraway, who is the father of Haywood's cousin's child. Witnesses indicated that Ellis retrieved a knife, and although an attempt was made to prevent her from attacking, she allegedly stabbed Haywood once in the chest as the vehicle she was in began to move. Haywood was rushed to the Georgetown Public Hospital, GPHC, where she remained in a coma for nearly a month before succumbing to her injuries on January 23, 2020. A CT scan later revealed that she was brain dead. Initially reported to be on the run, Ellis turned herself into authorities on January 28, 2020, and was charged with murder. She was remanded to prison after her first court appearance. The trial, which began in February, included 2 video recordings of the incident and several eyewitness testimonies. After closing arguments were presented on February 13, a juror informed the court that Ellis' relatives had approached him twice outside the courtroom, leading Justice Young to rule that a retrial was necessary to uphold the integrity of the proceedings. Ellis ultimately pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter. During sentencing, the court considered various factors, including the nature of the crime, Ellis' background, and her behavior while incarcerated. According to a probation report, Ellis grew up in a structured household with both parents actively involved in her upbringing. She dropped out of secondary school at age 15 to assist her mother with domestic duties. Prior to her incarceration, she was unemployed and living with her parents in Georgetown. While in prison, Ellis participated in several rehabilitation programs, including anger management, yoga, computer science, substance abuse recovery, and sewing. Prison officials characterized her as disciplined, cooperative, and remorseful, despite a record of 2 infractions, one for possessing a cellular phone and another for having cigars in her possession. In a statement included in the pre-sentence report, Ellis expressed deep remorse for her actions, claiming that the altercation escalated when Haywood threw alcohol in her face and followed her, leading to a physical confrontation. While she admitted to stabbing Haywood, Ellis asserted that she never intended to take a life. The court sentenced Ellis to 14 years in prison, acknowledging both the aggravating and mitigating factors. While the victim's family expressed relief that justice was served, they also conveyed their grief over Haywood's death, describing it as a devastating blow to their family. The state was represented by Mumtaz Ali from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, while attorney Candace Adams represented Shaliza Ellis. Investigating panel finds systemic failures contributed to Fireman's death at GPHC. By news source Guyana, the investigation into the death of Fireman Vashon Manbod at the Georgetown Public Hospital, GPHC, has uncovered several systemic errors on the part of the hospital and its staff. Manbod, who was injured in the May school fire, passed away at the Georgetown Hospital 3 days after being admitted with multiple injuries. The investigating panel, which comprised both external and internal medical specialists, submitted its report to GPHC management on Monday. Robbie Rambaran, the hospital's chief executive officer, informed news source that the report is currently under review. They have completed their investigation and submitted the report. We are in the process of examining it, Rambaran said. Meanwhile, Dr. Navindranath Rambaran, the medical director at GPHC, indicated that the initial findings highlight a number of errors in the treatment process. Upon initial review, the report reveals several issues related to how the system functioned for the patient. There are multiple recommendations that we are currently evaluating to ensure these issues do not arise in the future. We are mandated to implement measures to improve departmental coordination and overall efficiency for better patient outcomes, the medical director stated. The 27-year-old fireman passed away on March 8 at the hospital, where he was being treated for head and other injuries. His family has expressed dissatisfaction with his treatment at the hospital and has demanded a thorough investigation. They reported that his condition worsened after he fell from his bed, an incident they learned about from another patient. Both the CEO and medical director of the hospital have committed to convening soon to discuss the report's findings and recommendations. Manbod was one of 3 firemen injured when a wall collapsed on them while they were combating an early morning fire at May School. The other 2 firemen were treated for their injuries and subsequently discharged, but fireman Manbod did not recover. Bath settlement man sentenced to 3 years for trafficking narcotics. Amir Mohammed Ali, a 36-year-old resident of Bath Settlement, West Burbus, has been sentenced to 3 years in prison for trafficking narcotics. Ali appeared before Magistrate Alan Wilson at the Mahakoni Magistrates Court on Wednesday. The court was informed that on Tuesday, March 25, Ali was found in possession of cannabis. He pleaded guilty to the charge. Magistrate Wilson emphasized the seriousness of the offense, to which Ali expressed remorse and requested leniency from the court. Despite his plea for mercy, Magistrate Wilson imposed a firm sentence of 3 years in prison along with a fine of $100,000. On the day of the incident, a team of officers from the Mahakoni police station, acting on credible information, conducted a stop-and-search operation on the Park Public Road in Mahakoni. A blue and black minibus approaching from the west was stopped, and the driver complied with the officers' instructions. Initially, no incriminating evidence was found on the passengers during the search. However, officers discovered a black and yellow haversack hidden under the back seat of the bus, which no one claimed as theirs. Upon opening the bag in front of the passengers, they uncovered a red shirt wrapped around 3 black plastic bags containing leaves, seeds, and stems suspected to be cannabis. The officers seized the bag and brought the passengers to the Mahakoni police station for further investigation. A search of the haversack revealed a Ministry of Health voucher in the front pocket, clearly bearing Ali's name. He subsequently admitted ownership of both the bag and the narcotics, was advised of his rights, and formally arrested. The seized narcotics weighed a total of 650 grams, leading to the charges against him. New Amsterdam man sentenced to 12 years for murder of ex-convict. Newsroom. A resident of New Amsterdam has been sentenced to 12 years in prison following a fatal altercation that resulted in the death of an ex-convict in 2022. Dexroy Ogleton, 42, a farmer residing at Lot 22 Alexander Street, pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter last month after initially being indicted for murder. State Prosecutor Cecilia Corbin accepted Ogleton's plea on behalf of the prosecution in the case involving the unlawful killing of Jermaine Elias, who lived at Lot 44 Stanleytown, also in New Amsterdam. After entering his plea, Justice Sherdel Isaacs-Marcus requested the preparation of a probation report concerning Ogleton. The report was subsequently submitted to the court by Senior Probation and Welfare Officer Maisie Shepherd. Prior to sentencing, Ogleton's attorney, Kevin Morgan, presented a written submission urging the court to consider the probation report's contents and Ogleton's intention to expedite proceedings by pleading guilty. Conversely, the state prosecutor emphasized the gravity of the crime, highlighting the loss of life and advocating for a sentence that would serve as a deterrent to similar offenses. In delivering the sentence, Justice Isaacs-Marcus acknowledged the favorable aspects of the probation report regarding Ogleton. The judge reviewed video evidence of the incident, noting that Ogleton had initiated the attack. Although the altercation was initially interrupted, it escalated again when the deceased, Elias, retrieved a mop stick, prompting Ogleton to draw a knife from his bag. The trial judge set an initial sentence of 18 years but reduced it by 1/3 due to the guilty plea, resulting in a final sentence of 12 years. The judge also instructed that the prison deduct the time Ogleton spent on remand. The incident occurred on October 16, 2022, at the intersection of Main and Kent Streets in New Amsterdam, near the Superbet outlet. Initial reports indicated that Ogleton and Elias had engaged in a verbal dispute that escalated into physical violence, ultimately leaving Elias motionless on the roadway. The altercation involved the use of both a mop stick and a grass knife. Father arrested after video shows abuse of toddler following fallout with mother. Newsroom. Kester Johnson has been taken into custody by police in Wismar, Linden, following an investigation into the mistreatment of his 1-year-old child, an incident that has raised alarm across the country. The alleged abuse occurred around 10:26 p.m. and has led to the arrest of Johnson, who has had a decade-long relationship with the child's mother, Saudia Bob. Bob, an unemployed woman residing in Blueberry Hill, Wismar, has 3 children with Johnson, aged 3, 2, and 1. Their relationship has been plagued by repeated incidents of physical violence, with the first reported occurrence in February 2025. During a heated argument over a voice note, Kester allegedly slapped Saudia, prompting her to leave their home and stay with a friend for several days. The situation escalated again on Saturday when Saudia became involved in another physical altercation with Johnson at their home. This confrontation led her to seek help at the Wismar police station, where she reported that Kester had assaulted her. However, she refrained from providing a written statement, stating that she would return later to do so, but she never did. 3 days later, on Tuesday, the investigation took a disturbing turn. Police received information about a video that allegedly showed Saudia's 1-year-old daughter being mistreated. The footage, which depicted the child hanging from a bedsheet, was reportedly filmed by Johnson and sent to Saudia's phone. When questioned by police, Saudia initially denied the existence of the video but later admitted to having deleted it, fearing its contents might harm her child's reputation. After further prompting, she was able to retrieve the video from her phone's trash folder and presented it to the police. The footage, now central to the investigation, prompted immediate action. Johnson was arrested, and both Saudia's and her mother's phones were seized to extract additional evidence from the video. Investigators are working diligently to ascertain the full extent of the abuse, and charges of assault have been filed against Johnson. A file is also being prepared for potential child abuse charges, and he is scheduled for court proceedings on Thursday. A medical examination of the child showed no visible signs of violence, and fortunately, the toddler is reported to be in good health and safe following the incident. Man previously remanded for robbery now charged with motorcycle theft. Guyana Times. Sean Innes, a 23-year-old man who was previously remanded to prison on a robbery charge, has been remanded once again after being charged with the theft of a motorcycle. Innes, from East Coast Demerara, appeared before Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty at the Georgetown Magistrates Courts on Tuesday, where he pleaded not guilty to stealing a motorcycle valued at $450,000. The motorcycle, which belonged to Anvesh Badhani, was reportedly stolen on March 20th on Robb Street, Georgetown. Innes's attorney informed the court that her client had previously worked at the location where the alleged theft occurred. She also stated that Innes's mother reported that her son suffers from mental instability and frequently smokes marijuana, which may have led him to believe that he was still employed at the establishment. According to the attorney, it was Innes's mother who alerted the police after noticing the motorcycle at their home, leading to Innes's arrest and subsequent charge. The prosecution opposed bail, arguing that Innes had deliberately altered the motorcycle's appearance by spraying it with black paint in an attempt to disguise it. When this was mentioned to the magistrate, Innes interjected, explaining that he had taken the motorcycle home for its protection. He claimed that individuals with whom he had previous conflicts had been causing trouble in the area and that he feared they would steal the motorcycle. He stated that he took the motorcycle to his mother's house for safekeeping, as he had done in the past while working there. The virtual complainant expressed willingness to accept compensation, provided that his motorcycle was repaired and repainted. However, he was unable to provide an estimate for the cost of the repairs. Both parties are expected to return to court on March 28th. Until then, Magistrate McGusty ordered that Innes be remanded to prison. This is not Innes's first encounter with the law. In 2019, at the age of 18, he was remanded to prison alongside two others, Harker Lowes Harris and Daniel MacArthur. The particulars of that charge stated that, on October 17, 2019, at Camp Street, Georgetown, they robbed Elton Muko of two cell phones valued at $298,000, and during or immediately after the robbery, they used personal violence towards the victim. Prosecutors had objected to bail for the trio, stating that they were positively identified by Muko, who was also stabbed in the back. Magistrate Larceny, after considering the prosecution's arguments, had remanded the teens to prison. The outcome of that case remains unknown at this time. Abduction accused granted bail for allegedly discharging firearm. Guyana Times. Alpha Pool, who was previously charged and released on bail in connection with the abduction of Joshua David, now faces an additional charge for allegedly discharging a loaded firearm. Pool, a 35-year-old clothes vendor from Stanley Place, Kitty, appeared before Chief Magistrate Faith McGusty at the Georgetown Magistrates Court on Tuesday, where he was charged with unlawfully discharging a loaded firearm in Kitty, Georgetown, on February 24. While facing pending charges for the abduction of Joshua David, a case in which the victim remains missing, Poole denied the allegations regarding the firearm. His attorney, Dominic Bess, argued that no firearm was found in Poole's possession or even in close proximity during the searches conducted. Bess further noted that two other individuals had already been charged in connection with the same shooting incident, questioning why Poole was being charged a month later. He submitted to the court that his client had been complying with all court-mandated conditions in the abduction case, regularly attending hearings and fully cooperating with law enforcement. Given this, Bess requested reasonable bail, asserting that Poole posed no flight risk. The prosecution, however, strongly objected to bail, citing the serious nature of the charge and Poole's ongoing legal issues related to the abduction of Joshua David. The prosecutor emphasized the severe penalty for discharging a loaded firearm and argued that Poole's alleged involvement in two serious crimes made him a flight risk. They also submitted that there is video footage of the firearm incident. Chief Magistrate McGusty ultimately granted Poole bail, setting the amount at $50,000. Poole is expected to return to court on April 9. In September 2024, Poole and 6 other men, Aaron Aline, known as Katz, Wayne Barker, 34, of Lang Avenue, Georgetown, Damian Barlow, 32, of Sophia, Dwayne Griffith, known as Sheep, 27, and Davantai Mars, 21, of Middle Road, La Penitence, Georgetown, were jointly charged with the abduction of David, who was taken from Main Street, Georgetown, on the night of September 26, 2024. The victim had reportedly gone to purchase food when he was forcibly taken and has not been seen since. Despite extensive searches, including operations in the backlands of Buxton and Anandale, East Coast Demerara, ECD, police have yet to locate David, and the case remains under active investigation. During the initial court proceedings, Poole and his co-accused were granted $500,000 bail each after their attorneys argued that there was insufficient evidence directly linking them to the crime. 2 other men previously charged with the abduction had their charges withdrawn.